Imagine a Japan standing at the crossroads of worlds, one path leading toward the isolation we know from history, and the other toward a future shaped by foreign faith, global entanglements, and a spiritual revolution capable of shaking the foundations of samurai society. In this alternate timeline, the faint spark carried by the first Jesuit missionaries does not fade into the quiet shadows of persecution. Instead, it roars into a fire powerful enough to challenge the old gods of Japan and the political order that guarded them. This is the story of a different Japan, a Japan not closed to the world, but pulled into it, reshaped by the cross, the sword, and the choices of men who never imagined how far their decisions would reach. Christianity entered Japan in 1549, carried by Portuguese Jesuits, whose arrival coincided perfectly with the ambitions of many feuding daimyō. These missionaries brought more than sermons. They brought knowledge, medicine, firearms, and access to Europe's booming trade networks. Their message took root most strongly in Kyushu, where several daimyō saw the faith as a bridge to lucrative alliances with Portugal and Spain. Jesuit schools, orphanages, and churches appeared rapidly, offering education and charity to commoners who had rarely known such attention. Yet the movement's momentum frightened the political elite. Toyotomi Hideyoshi, already wary of European expansion in Asia, viewed the rapid spread of a foreign religion as a potential threat. Although his 1587 edict banning missionaries was poorly enforced, it revealed the unease simmering beneath the surface. That tension turned violent a decade later when 26 Christians, a mixture of missionaries and Japanese converts, were crucified in Nagasaki in 1597. The message was unmistakable. Christianity had crossed a line. When Tokugawa Ieyasu seized power and established the shogunate, the pressure only intensified. His 1614 decree expelled all missionaries, ordered churches destroyed, and demanded that Japanese Christians abandon their faith. Those who resisted faced execution, exile, or torture. Over time, this oppression drove believers underground, giving rise to the secret Kakure Kirishitan communities. In our reality, this is where their story retreats into hidden whispers. But in this alternate world, everything changes at a single moment. Hideyoshi never issues the ban in 1587. With stable trade secured and diplomatic promises from Iberian powers, he allows Christianity to continue spreading. And spread it does, not as a fragile minority, but as a sweeping movement that transforms the social fabric of Japan. Peasants crushed under endless taxes find hope in a message that speaks of spiritual equality. Samurai, raised in strict hierarchies, are drawn to its discipline and moral clarity. Merchants see opportunity in bonds with foreign traders. By 1600, roughly 1 million Japanese, about 8% of the population, openly call themselves Kirishitan, more than double the historical number. But this remarkable growth sows conflict. Christianity, with its devotion to a single divine authority, challenges the Shinto reverence for countless kami and disrupts the philosophical balance maintained by Buddhist institutions. To conservative elites, it looks like an ideological breach in the nation's armor, a breach that foreign powers might exploit. The daimyō of Kyushu, who originally adopted the faith for economic leverage, now appear to be forming a bloc loyal to an external spiritual power. Thus, when Tokugawa Ieyasu rises to dominance in 1603, he identifies the Kirishitan communities as a direct threat to his fragile new order. He issues a sweeping ban on Christianity, ordering all missionaries to depart and demanding that converts publicly renounce their beliefs. Churches are burned, Christian villages raided, and leaders crucified or driven into exile.
But this time, the Christian population is far too large and far too organized to simply accept extinction. Kyushu erupts first.
Justo Takayama, a devout Christian daimyō renowned for both his faith and his martial skill, refuses to submit. He gathers allies from southern clans that had long embraced the cross, and he fortifies himself in Okayama, transforming the region into the heart of a growing resistance. Word is sent across the sea to Manila, appealing to the Spanish for military support. They answer. The first to join Takayama are the Kuroda, led by the formidable and deeply Catholic Kuroda Yoshitaka. His clan brings manpower, resources, and credibility to the cause. In December 1603, this coalition launches what becomes known as the Kirishitan Uprising. Yoshitaka commands an army of 30,000, defeating Tokugawa-aligned forces across Kyushu. Their victories ignite a chain reaction. Clan after clan defects, and soon, almost the entire island is under Christian control. With Kyushu secure, the rebels prepare for the next stage. The Spanish arrive with ships, gunpowder, advanced muskets, and 12,000 soldiers, giving the movement an international backbone unseen in Japanese conflicts before this point. In early 1604, Yoshitaka's son, Nakamasa, also a committed Christian, launches an invasion of Shikoku. Jesuit priests help mobilize local peasants and ronin, stirring them with promises of justice and spiritual liberation. A coalition with the Hisaga and Kato clans overwhelms their rivals, smashing Chosokabe defenses and toppling major fortresses. By spring, Shikoku has fallen. Meanwhile, Takayama pushes north through Honshu. Merchants, artisans, and urban Christians in Chugoku and Kansai rally to his banner. His plan is bold: take Osaka, use it as a staging ground, then advance on Kyoto. Yet Tokugawa anticipates this and intercepts him at Amagasaki with a 50,000-strong army. The Christians suffer a punishing defeat. But the coalition does not collapse. Reinforcements from the Kuroda arrive, bringing new weapons and renewed determination. In April, the Christian armies regroup and lay siege to Osaka. Here, European tactics and technology shift the balance. Osaka Castle, considered nearly unassailable, falls in just 6 days. The shock tears through Japan. Clans uncertain of the rebellion now see its power firsthand and defect to the Christian side. Kyoto falls shortly afterward. Takayama captures Emperor Go-Yozei, while Tokugawa garrisons retreat north toward Edo to regroup with the shogun. The rebellion spreads further as Christian communities in Kanazawa and Toyama rise in July, aligning themselves with the uprising's momentum. By mid-1604, the Christian coalition controls vast territories, commands foreign support, and possesses both moral fire and military momentum. Japan stands divided, not between East and West, but between two visions of its soul and future. The Christian armies continued their advance north, moving with a confidence born from victory and foreign support. Their next great clash came at the Battle of Nagoya, where Tokugawa marshaled a massive force of roughly 80,000 men. Opposing him stood Takayama's 70,000-strong coalition, hardened by months of fighting and strengthened by European advisors who refined their battlefield formations. The fighting around Nagoya was brutal. Streets turned into killing grounds, and entire districts were reduced to rubble. But once again, the presence of European cannon crews and disciplined musket lines proved decisive. After 5 relentless days, Nagoya fell. The defeat sent a tremor of fear through the remaining loyalist clans. Many immediately abandoned Tokugawa, swearing fealty to the Christian cause, or embracing baptism in hopes of survival. By early September, Takayama's forces had grown to nearly 90,000. With their numbers swelling and morale soaring, they marched on Edo, the heart of Tokugawa authority. What followed was one of the longest and most devastating sieges in Japanese history. Fires lit by both attackers and defenders raged through the city. Neighborhoods vanished in smoke. Edo's once proud walls crumbled under constant bombardment. At last, in late October, Edo fell. Tokugawa Ieyasu was captured and publicly beheaded, his remaining relatives executed to prevent any resurgence of his line. Emperor Go-Yozei, who refused to renounce his divine status, a core doctrine of the imperial tradition, was likewise executed, marking a symbolic end to the Shinto-centered political order. On November 1, 1604, with two of Japan's foundational pillars shattered, Justo Takayama was crowned King Justus I in Osaka, which he declared his new capital. The coronation blended ancient Japanese ceremonial splendor with Catholic ritual, symbolizing a kingdom straddling east and west. Yet resistance persisted. Kone Nobuhiro, the late emperor's son, escaped north to the wild, mountainous provinces of Tohoku. There, supported by a handful of loyalists, he proclaimed himself the true emperor. His claim went largely ignored. He controlled little more than snowbound villages, but he served as a rallying point for the devout who refused to embrace this Christian revolution. King Justus wasted no time reshaping the nation. He rewarded Christian daimyō with land and privileges, encouraging hesitant clans to convert through a mixture of incentives and pressure. He introduced an ambitious administrative overhaul known as the Kudo system, merging Japanese feudal norms with the efficient bureaucratic methods of Spain. Land confiscated from defeated clans fell under direct royal control. From these territories, he appointed two new classes of officials: Shugo, military governors who enforced royal authority; Kokushi, civilian administrators who handled taxes, law, and infrastructure. All were chosen from loyal Christian families, ensuring that the heart of the kingdom was filled with men who owed their fortunes to the new regime. This system shattered the chaotic decentralization of the Sengoku era. What replaced it was a streamlined, centralized Christian monarchy unlike anything Japan had known. A new elite class, the Nazoku, emerged from redistributed estates. Granted significant tax exemptions, they quickly rose as prosperous Christian gentry, inspiring thousands of commoners to convert for economic opportunity as much as spiritual conviction. Catholic influence expanded at a breathtaking pace. Jesuit and Franciscan missionaries, now working hand in hand with the state, seized former temples and shrines and converted them into churches, hospitals, and seminaries. Dozens of training academies sprang up across Kyushu and southern Honshu, producing native priests fluent in Latin, theology, and European philosophy. Osaka, reborn and renamed Kirisuto-kyō, transformed into a radiant Christian capital. Its streets filled with students, priests, artisans, and merchants. Hospitals treated the poor. Almshouses sheltered widows and orphans, and foreign ships lined the harbors. By 1620, nearly 3 million Japanese had embraced Christianity, an unimaginable shift in just a single generation. Nagasaki and Kirisuto-kyō became vibrant crossroads of cultures. Spanish and Portuguese galleons brought not only goods, but also painters, architects, musicians, and craftsmen. Baroque churches rose beside Japanese fortresses, their domes and arches reshaping the skyline. This fusion was not simply imposed. Many Japanese embraced European culture with genuine fascination. In 1607, the Gregorian calendar officially replaced the lunar one, aligning the kingdom's timekeeping with Europe. By 1612, the Latin alphabet, Romaji, became the script for government documents and church administration. The old writing systems were phased out in official contexts, though kanji survived stubbornly in rural education and local literature. Urban Christian families increasingly raised their children with Latin literacy, altering the nation's intellectual landscape. Catholic feast days were enthusiastically adopted, evolving into uniquely Japanese celebrations. Artists blended European religious themes with Japanese aesthetics, producing masterpieces depicting biblical stories through the lens of local culture. Converts took Christian names such as Francesco, Maria, Jono, and Felipe, the latter chosen by King Justus for his own son in honor of Spain's Philip IV, whose unwavering support was crucial to the kingdom's rise. Spain's ambitions, however, reached far beyond religious camaraderie. Privately, Spanish strategists spoke of the Imperio de la China plan, a dream of conquering China with Japanese assistance, then sweeping westward to challenge the Ottomans. Manila became Japan's lifeline, sending weapons, missionaries, engineers, and silver in exchange for lucrative trade rights in Nagasaki and Kagoshima. Portuguese merchants secured parallel agreements in Hirado, establishing their own enclaves. Before long, a bustling European district emerged in Kirisuto-kyō, complete with warehouses, trading halls, Iberian-style guildhouses, and stone quays. A powerful Kirishitan merchant class rose, modeled on Portuguese guilds, dominating maritime trade in partnership with Iberian fleets. These exchanges accelerated Japan's technological revolution. Japanese shipbuilders learned European naval designs. Armorers mastered advanced metallurgy. Cartographers adopted new map-making techniques. And fortresses across Christian Japan were rebuilt as European star forts, geometric bastions nearly impossible to breach with conventional Japanese siege methods. Even with these advancements, the northern regions remained restless. Buddhist monks, Shinto priests, and loyalist warriors staged periodic uprisings, rejecting both the new religion and the sweeping cultural changes. But King Justus's modernized armies, aided by European artillery and impeccable fortifications, crushed these rebellions before they could threaten the core of the kingdom. Despite lingering resistance, the reign of Justus Takayama was a period of profound transformation, a reshaping of Japan's identity, culture, language, and destiny so dramatic that it created a civilization unlike any seen in world history. The death of King Justus I in 1615, at the age of 63, marked the end of Japan's first Christian monarch and the beginning of a far more turbulent era. His passing elevated his young son Philip I to the throne, a boy molded from childhood by Jesuit mentors, Spanish diplomats, and the Christian daimyō who now dominated the royal court. To many, Philip's ascension symbolized the consolidation of the Christian kingdom. But to others, particularly those in the northern provinces, it represented an opportunity. While the south celebrated its new ruler, the remnants of the old Yamato dynasty gathered what allies remained. Buddhist monasteries that had survived the early purges became rallying centers. Shinto priests, stripped of lands and influence, preached that the Takayama rulers were puppets of foreign powers. Defeated clans, driven to the margins of their ancestral territories, quietly rebuilt their forces. They saw in the young king's inexperience the chance to reclaim the Japan they believed had been stolen from them. Their anger intensified after Philip issued his first major policy, the Edict of Mashusho. It confiscated every remaining Buddhist and Shinto estate in Kyushu, redirecting wealth to fund new seminaries, Jesuit academies, and foreign-led missions. To the north, This was not merely religious suppression, it was cultural annihilation. The notion that sacred lands would now finance Christian expansion ignited outrage across the old warrior class. By 1616, rebellion erupted. Samurai, who had lost status under the Christianized warrior hierarchy, rose up, assembling 10,000 fighters around Edo. Their hope was simple: seize the city's fortifications, trigger mass uprisings, and restore Buddhism and the imperial line. But Philip acted decisively. Under the command of the seasoned general Kuroda Nagamasa, 15,000 royal troops smashed the rebels at the Battle of Utenoya. The death toll was severe, and the rebel leaders were executed. Their lands were awarded to loyal Christian Nazoku, further expanding the new aristocracy aligned with the crown. The kingdom seemed momentarily stable, but the north was far from pacified. 3 years later, a more formidable uprising spread across Kanto. Buddhist monks and commoners seized temples, declared loyalty to the Yamato claimant, and marched south. Edo itself fell into chaos as anti-Christian mobs burned churches and executed priests. For a moment, it looked as though the Christian kingdom might lose its foothold in the east. Philip responded with overwhelming force. Reinforced by Spanish musketeers and artillery, he launched a campaign that lasted nearly 2 years. Edo fell again, this time to royal troops, and the consequences were severe. Philip ordered the complete removal of Buddhist and Shinto communities from the city. Surviving temples were destroyed, their relics burned, and Edo was repopulated entirely with Christian families loyal to the crown. It was a turning point. Spurred on by Jesuit advisors, Philip declared Christianity the sole legal religion of Japan and established the Shuka, a Japanese Inquisition. Its mission: to root out secret practitioners of Buddhism and Shinto, impose fines, force conversions, and, in extreme cases, imprison those who refuse to abandon their ancestral beliefs. But instead of eliminating resistance, these measures drove it deeper and into more violent expression. Fury in the northern provinces erupted again, this time in a swift and coordinated uprising known as the 100 Days' War. Backed by Yamato loyalists, rebel groups seized townships, sabotaged Christian garrisons, and attempted to cut supply lines to the capital. Philip gathered a 30,000-strong force and crushed the rebellion at the Battle of Fukushima, seizing huge swaths of Yamato territory. His generals pressed the king to take the next step: advance north, seize Sendai, and extinguish the old dynasty entirely. Philip hesitated. He feared pushing the country into endless cycles of war. Yet he recognized a grim truth: as long as Sendai stood, Japan would remain divided. He prepared to march, but winter halted the campaign. Instead, Philip reinforced the region. Spanish engineers constructed massive European-style bastions across Fukushima, turning it into a fortified spear point aimed at the north. The following year, Philip launched his final offensive. At Minami Soma, Christian armies destroyed the last major Yamato field force. Sendai lay open, and its defenders retreated toward Aomori, determined to make a final stand. The campaign that followed was harsh, stretching over 3 years. The northern clans, knowing this was a struggle for survival, fought with a ferocity unmatched in earlier uprisings. Villages burned, castles fell one by one, and winter starvation ravaged both armies. In 1627, Aomori was taken, and with it, the Yamato line was extinguished. For the first time in Japanese history, the entire archipelago stood united under a Christian monarch. Philip spent the next years imposing absolute control over the conquered territories.
Lands were redistributed to Christian allies, and a network of European star forts was constructed across the north.
These geometric, cannon-resistant structures allowed small garrisons to control vast regions, preventing rebellions before they could gather strength. Yet resistance flickered on. Hardly had Philip returned to his capital of Kirisuto-kyō when 3 new uprisings broke out: the Second GTO Rebellion, the Nagaya Uprising, and the prolonged War of 1,000 Days.
Each was crushed with uncompromising severity. By the end of these conflicts, every major Buddhist or Shinto center had been destroyed or confiscated. The last remnants of Japan's old religions survived only in whispered traditions and secret family rites. By the early 1630s, Christianity had become the dominant faith, embraced by nearly half the population.
Every official, daimyō, and governor in the country was Catholic.
The church was no longer a foreign presence, it was the backbone of the kingdom.
With Japan finally pacified, Philip began to look outward. Across the sea lay Korea, battered by the Manchu invasions of 1627 and 1636. Its Joseon dynasty weakened and its military in ruins. Its fields were destroyed, its borders destabilized, and its fortresses barely manned.
To Philip and his advisors, both Japanese generals and Spanish strategists dreaming of broader empire, the conclusion was clear.
Korea was vulnerable. Korea was valuable.
Korea was next.